All right, we are back and we are live. Another episode of Cigar and a Beverage is on the airwaves here on Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be on for a relatively short amount of time in comparison to, the past episodes. No cigar tonight, no cigar this afternoon, here in this afternoon episode, but I do have my beverage here. I got a Bud Light Lime here, got to keep the calories down. Couple things that were on my mind as we start today's episode. I'm still in shock, if you want to call it that, about the Ole Miss Baseball Program winning a national championship in Omaha. Let's think about where this Ole Miss baseball team was back in May. Right? They were 7-14 in conference play. All right. Obviously, having no prospects about getting into the NCAA tournament, much less the SEC tournament. And they go on a tear in the latter stages of the season. Okay. Again, I can't reiterate this enough. 7-14 in the SEC play. Okay. They finished the regular season 14-16 in SEC play. Got into the SEC tournament by the skin of their teeth. Well, not really by the skin of their teeth, but as a number 9 seed. They swept Missouri back on May the 6th in a series that started May the 6th. Okay. So they were 7-14 after May the 1st, and that started. They went 1-2 in a series against Arkansas in Fayetteville at Baum Walker Stadium. So at that point, they're 7-14 in the conference, and then they come home, they play Missouri, they sweep Missouri. Okay, 10-14 at that point. They go on the road to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, play who was then number 14 Southern Miss, beat Southern Miss 4-1. Obviously not a conference game, but a big win in the grand scheme of things. Then they play LSU at the box in Baton Rouge, where Ole Miss never sweeps the Tigers. Never. Ever. You have to go back to the early 1900s before you can find where LSU gets swept by Ole Miss at the box. But they did it. Ole Miss swept LSU at the box on a series that game 1 got postponed due to weather. So they play a doubleheader on that Saturday. And then on the 15th, that Sunday, they play game 3. And Coach Mike Bianco throws Dylan DeLucia, Hunter Elliott, and John Gaddis in that series. Your starting pitchers. Okay? And you beat LSU 5-3 in game 1, 11-1 in game 2, 8-5 in game 3. Now at that point, you're 13-14. Now you're looking good going into the SEC tournament. Your RPI gets better, and now you're looking good as far as your prospects of getting into the NCAA tournament. But then here's where things kind of got iffy for Ole Miss. They host Texas A&M in the final regular season series of the year. They take one of two against A&M. So you're 14-16 going into the SEC tournament. And your first game of the SEC tournament is against the 8 seed Vanderbilt. And you lose to Vanderbilt. Okay? So at this point in the year, you're 14-16 in conference play. You're 32-22 on the year. And you are squarely on the NCAA tournament bubble. And at this point, I'm sure that there were, and I cannot confirm this. All right, I want to be perfectly clear. I cannot confirm this. But I am sure that there were behind-the-scenes talks about the possibility of relieving Mike Bianco of his duties as the head coach of the Ole Miss Baseball Program. So it's a long wait. You're playing on the first day of the SEC tournament. You're playing on the first day, and you lose to Vanderbilt. That's on a Thursday, I believe. So now you got to wait Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday is the selection show to see if you get into the tournament. And you're the last team in. You get in. Ole Miss gets in, and that's all that was needed. Because as we all know, the tear that that the baseball program went on is nothing short of unbelievable. You go now, but let's think about this too. Ole Miss is the last team in the tournament. And not only are they the last team in the tournament, they get sent to what is quite possibly, in my opinion, the toughest regional possible this year. Because you go to Coral Gables. You got to go play in the Coral Gables Regional, which featured you as the 3 seed. And when I mean by you, I mean Ole Miss. You're the 3 seed. Ole Miss is the 3 seed. Canisius is the 4 seed. Arizona's the 2 seed. Arizona being the team that knocked Ole Miss out of the tournament last year in Tucson in the Super Regional. And the host team, the Miami Hurricanes. Tough regional. Well, Mallets gets the win in game 1 of in Ole Miss's first game of the regional against Arizona. Mason Nichols gets the win against Miami in game 2. And Jack Doherty gets the win, the closer, gets the win against Arizona in the regional final. And that one wasn't even close. It was 22-6, Ole Miss in the regional final. So you sweep the Coral Gables regional. And that was a regional that was marred by rain on a lot of it. But they got the regional in. And that's how that one went down. So now you got to go from Coral Gables to Hattiesburg, Mississippi to play Southern Miss, Pete Taylor Park. Southern Miss was on a tear this year. Probably one of the better pitching staffs in the tournament with who they had. Tanner Hall, Hurston Waldrop. Those two guys just by themselves, and then the Southern Miss bullpen throughout the season was nothing to blink an eye at. I mean, they were pretty darn good the whole year. And so were the bats for Southern Miss. I mean, we can't lie there. Southern Miss was a national seed, number 11 national seed. And to Ole Miss's credit, they came in to that Super and shut down the Golden Eagles. Beat them 10-0 in game 1, 5-0 in game 2. Okay? So now Ole Miss is on. They've got momentum riding their side. And then they go into Omaha. And without going through every single game here, they faced Auburn. They had to face Arkansas 3 times in Omaha. So they basically played Arkansas 6 times this year. Not basically, they did. They faced Arkansas 6 times this year. And in the games that mattered the most, in Omaha, Ole Miss beat them the first time. Then they put themselves in then Arkansas gets out of the losers bracket and puts themselves in a position where they have to beat Ole Miss twice. And they beat Ole Miss in that second game in Omaha, in that second game against Ole Miss. And now you force a third game. You force a second elimination game, if you will, against the Rebels. And Dylan DeLucia throws a complete game, 2-0 shutout, and sends Ole Miss to the championship series in Omaha, where they face Oklahoma. And I tell you this. They beat Oklahoma 10-3 in game 1. You go to game 2, and the pitcher that Oklahoma threw, that the Sooners threw in the second game, and his name slips my mind, was an absolute stud. Gave up 1 run through 7 1/3, or 7 2/3, or 7 complete, whatever it was. They take him out, and his bullpen lets him down. Now, as an Ole Miss fan, that's good for me, right? Cheering the whole thing, right? That's good for me. But if you're an Oklahoma fan and you notice what that bullpen did, I would definitely have some questions. And I would still have some questions right now. But that's baseball. That happens. Bullpen comes in to try to close it out and force the game 3 on a Monday night. And it didn't happen. Ole Miss won at 4-2. And claims their first baseball national championship in program history. And again, congratulations to Mike Bianco, that entire coaching staff, and that entire 2022 team. Definitely well-deserved. And Mike Bianco goes from the outhouse to the penthouse, as he just recently signed a contract extension that makes him one of the top 5 highest-paid college baseball coaches in America. They locked down, not only that, but athletic director Keith Carter locked down his assistants. So that coaching staff is still going to be in place for this season coming up. A lot of question marks are going to surround the 2023 rendition of the Ole Miss baseball program. They lost pitching. They lost a lot of contributing factors from this team. And it is going to be interesting to see how this baseball team in 2023 fares this upcoming season. So, again, from the outhouse to the penthouse, Mike Bianco remains the head baseball coach at Ole Miss. So after going through that, I asked the fans this. The same fans that watched, rooted for, Ole Miss to win a national championship, they were well within their right to do it. But those are the same fans who back in May urged Keith Carter to make a change at the head coaching position in the baseball program, and urged him to make that change. And then Mike Bianco turns around, leads this team to a national championship, and when it was his turn to speak at the celebration party in Swayze Field after that parade through Oxford, when it was his turn to speak, fans cheered him and cheered him loudly. But I guarantee you this, those were the same fans that urged Keith Carter to fire that man. And then you got to ask yourself, are those fans really fans of Mike Bianco or just fans of the baseball program? Because if they're fans of Mike Bianco and wanted him gone, shame on them. Shame on them. Because now it makes you look like a hypocrite for cheering that man in the same vein or in the same way or whatever, however you want to say it, in the same vein as you wanting him fired. You can't have it both ways. So, look, that's on those fans. And it is what it is. But for those fans that still at this point, dislike Mike Bianco, you're going to have to deal with him for another 4 years at least. Because that man deserved a contract extension. That man is deserving of a plaque outside of Swayze Field. Tim Elko is going to get a statue outside of Swayze Field, because if it wasn't for his leadership, and yes, if it wasn't for his leadership amongst the players, then we would not see a national championship in Oxford, Mississippi from the baseball program. Congratulations again to Ole Miss. But now we are 2 weeks away from Ole Miss's first game on the football field. And once kickoff happens on September the 3rd in Oxford, Mississippi against Troy, that baseball national championship, that celebration that fans are still kind of celebrating since they won it back at the end of June, they're going to stop celebrating that, because now we're in a whole new year and we're in football season. Okay, so forget about it. All right, brand new year, we're in football season, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of product Ole Miss puts on the field. As I had talked about this with Chris on Tuesday night, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of product Lane Kiffin puts on the field. He is yet to name a starting quarterback, by the way. Yet to name a starting quarterback. So we'll see. LSU has not, staying in the SEC West, LSU still hasn't confirmed their starting quarterback, but we probably know who it's going to be, and that's more than likely going to be the Arizona State transfer, Jayden Daniels. Meanwhile, a story that came out yesterday, it is now official that former Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer is returning to college football as a member of Fox's Big Noon Kickoff cast. He worked the show in 2019 and 2020 before becoming the Jaguars head coach. Jacksonville fired him in December before he even finished his first year as the head coach in Jacksonville. But he is going to return to Fox, and Meyer, Urban won 3 national championships during his 17 years as a collegiate head football coach, 2 with Florida, 1 with Ohio State. His head coaching career began with stops at Bowling Green in Utah. He won the Fiesta Bowl one year when he was at Utah, and that's what got Utah on the national scene. And then Kyle Whittingham just continued that. And we saw Utah in the Rose Bowl back in January. And maybe Utah might be another a favorite again this year in the Pac-12, which is more than likely going to be the case unless Dan Lanning can get something going at Oregon. Mario Cristobal recruited well, and now he's gone from Oregon. He's down at Miami. So Dan Lanning, we'll see what he can do. It's going to be interesting to see what Lincoln Riley's going to do in his first year at USC. Chip Kelly is still at UCLA. David Shaw is the longest tenured head football coach in all of college football, or so it seems. He's still at Stanford. But Stanford's been lacking since Christian McCaffrey left, so let's see what happens. But I'm going to say this about Fox and Urban Meyer. You see, Urban was accused, and this is what ultimately got him fired from Jacksonville. Urban was accused of kicking former kicker Josh Lambo during a practice. But Urban called his tenure in the NFL the worst experience I've had in my professional lifetime. Well, but here's my question. Don't you think that he created that for himself? He put himself in that position. He made it hard on the players. He didn't even know who half the players' names were. Okay? He tried to create this magic that he had for Florida and Ohio State. He tried to create that in Jacksonville, but I guess he didn't quite understand that the NFL was a different sort of animal. It's a different sort of game. It's faster. You can't possibly think you could run some of that college sandlot trickery that you would run at Ohio State and Florida. You can't possibly think you could run that in the NFL. You had Trevor Lawrence, the number one pick in the draft, a quarterback, but you gave him nothing to work with. You're calling it the worst experience that you've had in your professional lifetime, but as the head football coach, that's on you, dude. And then to be accused of kicking a player during a practice because he can't make kicks during practice, that is strictly unprofessional. And why Fox wants to hire somebody that is seemingly as unprofessional as Urban Meyer is. Again, I'm not making any accusations of him being unprofessional, but hearing all of this stuff that came out while he was the head coach in an NFL franchise, he created that environment. He created that situation for himself. But why Fox wants to give him another shot at the broadcasting deal, I would have said no. As I spill my beer, I would have said no. That's just me. Sorry, that's just me. So good luck, Fox. You got somebody that's unprofessional once again. Meanwhile, sticking with the NFL, this is another thing that chops my crawl. And I think this is what we're going to talk about here in this last segment. Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson signs a mega contract to be the quarterback in Cleveland, knowing damn well that he's probably going to be suspended for a length of time. Well, it came down back in, was it July, that he would serve only a 6-game suspension for his 24 lawsuits and 10 criminal complaints that he faced, accusing him of lewd and coercive behavior toward women during massages while with the Houston Texans. Watson settled 23 of the 24 lawsuits filed by the women. Grand juries in Texas declined to indict Watson on criminal charges in March. He expressed remorse for his actions for the first time prior to Friday's preseason opener, or last Friday's preseason opener, saying, quote, to all the women I have impacted, he struggled in his apologizing to, quote, all the women he has impacted. He struggled in his first game since January 2021, completing just 1 of 5 pass attempts. Again, apologized in a statement posted online Thursday, saying he takes accountability for the decisions he's made. However, when talking to reporters shortly after the quarterback insisted he's innocent, NFL Network's Mike Garofalo said, quote, and I'm going to quote this verbatim here, I've always been able to stand on my innocence and always said I never assaulted or disrespected anyone. But at the same point, I have to continue to push forward with my life and my career. That's what Watson said, according to Mike Garofalo of the NFL Network. So at this point, okay, so he's got he's facing a 6-game suspension. But Thursday, the league finally got a ruling on the appeal that they presented, and Watson's suspension goes from a 6-game to an 11-game, and he's fined $5 million. And this is after a settlement reached by the NFL and the Players Association. But here's the coincidence. I'm sorry. If you don't think the NFL is partly rigged, if you don't think that the NFL is partly rigged and you're sitting there watching an NFL game every damn Sunday, week in and week out, from September to when the Super Bowl was played in February, if you don't think that the NFL is somewhat rigged, you are as naive as the next guy. Because Deshaun Watson's first game back from an 11-game suspension is against the damn Houston Texans. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Deshaun Watson should be suspended, at the very least suspended for the entire season, at the very least. This goes against the what he has been accused of, goes against the league's moral conduct policy. You know, they want to make this big stink about defending the shield and all of this crap. Man, that's a load of bull. You're going to suspend Sean Payton for Bountygate. You're going to suspend him for the entire damn season. But this is off the field. This is what tantamounts to sex. This is sexual misconduct off the field against, if it's 1 or 2 women, okay, maybe you could question his behavior. But this was 24 women. Are you kidding me? 24 women. The man should be barred from the NFL for life. I don't care what you think. My goodness. Roger Goodell should be ashamed of himself here. An 11-game suspension and your first game back is against your former team in week 13? Are you kidding me? Immoral, disrespectful behavior by this guy. We live in a day and age where sexual misconduct has been taken more seriously than ever before. And this is getting off easy. A $5 million fine and an 11-game suspension. Okay, it's without pay. So damn what? If I got accused of sexual misconduct and I have to face a jury of my peers in a trial situation I'm probably, because I am a guy, just on the virtue of me being a guy, I would probably go to jail. But because Deshaun Watson has privilege as a professional athlete, as a public figure, that is going to make a fully guaranteed $230 million with the Cleveland Browns. Yes, I said that right. Fully guaranteed $230 million. He does not face any jail time. He has settled with his accusers, and he didn't get fired from his job. He just got suspended. Give me a break. All right, well, I apologize for getting worked up. It's a disrespectful situation that has gone on with Deshaun Watson. It should be a full game suspension at the very least, but hey, a full season suspension, I should say. But hey, you get what you get with Roger Goodell as commissioner of the NFL. Uh-oh. That I probably should not have said, but truth hurts sometimes. Thank you for joining me, everybody. And again, grab your favorite cigar, grab your favorite beverage. In this case, today it was a Bud Light Lime. Grab your favorite cigar, grab your favorite beverage. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. Each and every week, we're going to be back again at some point next week for another episode of Cigar and a Beverage. Thanks, everybody. Take care and have a good one.